Welcome back to Dead Ball Dancing. Justin, this is maybe the final episode ever.
No.
I mean, we don't know that.
No, don't let them pull the wool over your eyes, people. See, check this out. We wouldn't have made shirts if it wasn't for the second season coming. I mean, dude, look at this
Those
thing.
are sharp.
These things are.
I'm not wearing mine. I got a Dark Club on today, but
No, I mean these things turned out so good, dude. Look at the logo. The material's super nice. Wifey had hers on earlier. My dad's got
link
his.
should be in the description. It should be in the description right now. If people want to buy shirts, it should be in the description of this video right now.
It is
if I remember to put it in there.
Yeah, no, you did. I'm looking at it right now. It's in there. They're comfortable. They're affordable. My dad's got a blue one on the way for Duke. We're gonna be a dead ball family. But yeah, I don't want to close out, dude. I don't want this to be the last episode of the season. I want it to keep going.
Well, as you just said, this will be the last episode of the 24-25 college basketball season. The next time you see us will either be the off season or next season. We're gonna figure that out kind of between shows here, see what we want to do. But without question, this is the final episode of the 24-25 college basketball season. I want to thank all the viewers. Thank everyone who's been with us, not even from day zero, right? If you joined us anywhere along the way, thank you. Yeah. We appreciate the views, the comments, the clicks.
Yeah.
So what we have for you today is a full circle moment here. What you see on your screen is our postseason top 25, not the top 25 ranking for 25-26. This is a end of this season ranking. These are our best 25 teams right now, not looking forward, but looking at the season as a whole. The change in rankings you're seeing on your screen is not to our last rankings. Those are to our first rankings way back in October.
Yep.
So, I mean, just before we jump in, I just want to say we did okay. 15 out of 25 teams that we had ranked in the top 25 to start the year are right here to end the year.
Which means that you guys should watch us next year to see if we can better that, right? I mean, it's only a competition from this point forward. Obviously, some glaring mistakes here, including the national champion. Baylor was a miss. We'll get into some of the crazier ones, but I'm pretty happy with the overall percentage here that we have pulled off here the first season. And even some of them were pretty accurate, like A&M and Houston, Duke. We kind of knew that was going to happen. I'm pretty happy with this, man. I'm happy with the way we did it. But let's just start off with the obvious, right? It was the national championship. Before we get into the top 25, it was Rick's pick versus my pick, and I just want to congratulate Rick on going 1-0. 1-0. He is right now the champion of 24-25 season in terms of picking the winner. And kudos to you, man. You picked him early on as well. You really did. So I just wanted to shout you out there and say, I think you're known as kind of the energy and the gambling, right? But you got some ball knowledge. So
I know my ball. And I can back it up with a little bit of bracket. I didn't win a single bracket this year, but Florida and my Final Four was enough to get me back in. I think I cashed in every bracket I played in that paid top 3 spots.
Really? Wow.
So happy with that overall. But yeah, looking at the top 25 here, I mean, we were on these teams. We were most of the top, I'd say 10, 15, or we were right on. Michigan State, we were a little down on the start of the year, blue blood bias there. And then Mississippi had a fantastic year, kind of came out of nowhere there. So yeah, it's good overall.
Yeah, absolutely. Couple of surprises in here too. Like, man, we were kind of down on UCLA too. I want to stick to our kind of our layout here, but like, good surprise with UCLA. Good surprise with Michigan. Like, noticing a lot of Big Ten surprises on here if you think about it, right? Which I don't want to jump too far ahead, but that top 10 really, with the exception of Florida, right? I thought we did a real good job. So kudos to us.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Big Ten there, and the Big Ten very well represented in the top 25. The very well represented in the tournament. Played great basketball
Yep.
down the stretch. I mean, I'm looking at these Big Ten teams, and it's Purdue, Michigan, Michigan State, Maryland, and then we added Big Ten teams, right? And it's still weird to look at, weird to see, but like UCLA and Oregon finished strong as well.
Right.
And we'll get to a little bit later, but just outside the top 25, there's another chunk of Big Ten teams.
Yep.
And we're really gonna start talking about where does the smaller conference game fit in on the national stage. And
Right.
save that for a little bit down the line here. But I mean, we're looking at this board and we are relatively unbiased. I think we did a pretty good job not being ESPN2 all year long. And our top 25 at the end of the year, it's SEC, Big 10, Big 12. And part of that is it's how we feel about our rankings. And part of it says it's undeniable.
Agreed.
They are the best teams in the country.
Agreed. And speaking of the top 25, like one of the comments, and I know you're a good host, so you read into my comments, but like the SEC won, right? Like Florida was the best team in the nation. I think you and I both agree on that. But like when you think about like conference of the year, I was like kind of going back and forth about this, and like you think about conference of the year, and was the most consistent, most surprising, best basketball in the Big Ten? Like I think it was, right? Because you can make an argument that the 10 teams out of the Big Ten that made the tournament were better than the SEC teams that made the tournament, with the exception of one, right? And that is Florida. I was looking at like UCLA, right? I was down on Oregon all year, but UCLA at 19, like, yeah, they kind of struggled in the tournament a little bit. We know that, but for the most part, watching them play this year, I mean, I thought there was going to be some sort of adjustment period for a lot of these Pac-12 into Big Ten and ACC like play styles. And man, like what a nice surprise seeing UCLA and Oregon in the top 25. They mended their game so perfectly to that conference. And I think they complement the teams that are already in that conference very well, right? Because you have the smash mouth basketball, you have the very defensive forward style of play. But this year we saw kind of a change in the way that the Big Ten was operating as a conference. And it's like you had Tanji on Wisconsin averaging like 21 a game. You had Braden Smith and Kaufman Wren at like 18 and 20 apiece. You had Queen on Maryland at like 20 a game. I think we've had more like high 18 to 22 point per game scores in the Big Ten this year than we did in like the last 2 or 3 years combined. And I just think that's so cool to see how like the conference is growing while still kind of like keeping that like kind of defensive forward smash mouth style of play. Yeah, I would give the nod to the Big Ten this year, man. Like I loved watching them play basketball, and I think it's reflected very well in our top 25, right? So kudos to the Big Ten for sure, no doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. Ridiculously deep conference. Same with the SEC. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the Big Ten final standings here against our rankings.
Yep.
And I mean, USC finished the season strong too, obviously in a different kind of tournament.
Yep.
But I mean, really, I'm looking at this, and Minnesota, Penn State, and Washington sucked.
Yeah, that's it.
But there's 15 other Big Ten teams that play really, really good basketball, either for the full season or for solid stretches.
Right.
And I'm looking at the bottom of a smaller SEC, and it seemed like Texas that we had ranked a couple times. I don't know, honestly, if I wouldn't take Northwestern over Texas with time
or
to
like Nebraska over Texas, or like Ohio State over Texas. So that's what I mean. Yeah. Like you think about like the conference that performed or outperformed expectations all year, and good, like the Big Ten for me, man. Like we knew about the Big 12, we knew about the SEC, we knew the ACC kind of sucked. They looked good towards the end, right? But Big Ten, give me the Big Ten all the way. We're homers though too, dude, right? Like we're homers trying to stay unbiased, but I think we did a good job of staying unbiased. I really do. So go Big Ten. That's all I'll say.
What I will say on that is we talked about the SEC. We talked about the Big Ten. The Big 12 One of the things that stood out to me on our rankings is Baylor. We were both big on Baylor coming into the year, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
Baylor's roster construction was such that they should have been in contention for the Big 12 the whole season.
Yeah.
And they really weren't.
Nah.
Obviously, they got essentially where they wanted to be by the end of the year. They were never like a national championship contender. They make the tourney, and they did, I think, enough.
Yeah.
But the big takeaway I had is that the Big 12 is way better than they used to be. They took the good basketball schools from the Pac-12 and save Oregon, I guess. I know we just talked about UCLA, but they took the good basketball schools and injected them right in, and then added Arizona State, which gave everybody at least one free win. So, punching bag down there. But I look at a team like BYU, who we did have ranked. Screw you, ESPN. And we talked about kind of the ebb and flow of their game all year, and same kind of thing as Baylor. They're never really a national championship level team, but played really, really good basketball for long stretches, including in the tournament.
Yeah,
and did so against a Big 12 that's really good at basketball. The top of the Big 12 is nothing to spit at, and obviously. I think you're going to talk about Iowa State here in a bit. We had some teams, Kansas, who kind of fell off. But, I mean, if Kansas has a down year, you need to win those games, and that's what they did. If you lose to struggling Kansas, that's a missed opportunity. So I think these teams in the Big 12 can recruit basketball in parts of the country where you don't go recruit basketball necessarily. You have the overwhelming majority of Texas, because Texas doesn't need to recruit Texas for basketball. They just kind of show up.
Yeah.
So I think as this evolves with these kind of big three conferences, I think there's a path where teams like Baylor, teams like BYU, teams like TCU can really recruit in a way that makes them competitive. Schedule yourself well in the non-con, and then just take care of business in the Big 12. And we're going to be talking about the Big 12 with 10 teams in the tournament.
Well, I couldn't agree more. I think they almost, what did they have? They had 9, 8?
I think it was
8.
Yeah, it was high single digits.
Something like that. Yeah. And it's only going to get stronger. BYU has the number 1 overall recruit for next year, right? The number
seven.
They have the number 1 overall recruit in the nation going to BYU, right? Houston's returning a ton of guys, and after the fact they almost won the national championship, which they freaking should have, Sampson's going to be able to recruit whatever the hell he wants, right? We'll talk about Iowa State. That's just a gross misjudgment on the coaching. I think the players are phenomenal on that team. I think they'll return a lot. Arizona, talk about remaining locked in after a tough start, good on it. This conference is going to be scary next year. A lot of people are returning. I don't see a lot of players transferring out in the transfer portal, right? I'm seeing a lot coming in, but not necessarily going out. So I think the strength of the Big 12, I love that you called that out. There were some teams that we were down on that we'll get into, obviously, later in the show. But Baylor dropping 15 spots and still remaining in the top 25 in a down year, right? That kind of is a testament to the strength of that conference, right? So, I really like your call out there, man. And I think, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Houston, Tech, right? I think BYU will be back up there. Arizona will be back up there next year. We're probably going to see Iowa State back up at the top next year, right? So you can make the argument that our preseason top 25, which we'll obviously get into, next season, there could very well be 10 Big 12 teams on here, right? So
there could very well be a mid-major on here. I want to give you a couple minutes to talk about McNeese, who is our number 22 in our exit poll.
What's nice is I think it wasn't just me.
McNice?
No, nice job. You were also high on them too. You had them at 25, so that wasn't just a bias. I just want to make that clear. That wasn't just a bias on my behalf. I had them. I was a little high on them. I had them at 19, but it was cool, dude. It's always cool, when we get to have our superlative episodes and give ourselves a chance to show our research and show our knowledge and have that rewarded at the end of the season, right? I was talking with someone during at our office pool, right, Rick? And they were like, "You're the only person that had the McNeese upset." And it's like, if you would have watched, like, if you tune into their games all season, you could see that this team was just like ready to go. And yeah, okay, they lost their coach. That sucks. But they're returning a few key pieces, right? Another coach is going to want that job. So like, I like the little guy making it. What is SoCon, right? Isn't this in SoCon? Southland. I'm sorry.
Southland.
Yeah. I mean, I really liked the way this team played. It seems like, they played tough all season. They played SEC opponents in their non-conference schedule. They had to go through some really tough opponents, Clemson, Purdue, in the tournament. They're tested, and I would love to see this team back on the board next year because their brand of basketball is awesome to watch. So, good on the little guys, man. I like seeing some of these smaller teams kind of scored into the top 25 too. So, St. Mary's is another one, right? Like, yeah, okay, they've been in the AP before, right? But I think we're seeing NIL money kind of spread the talent out a little more evenly than we had in the past. Yeah, some of the 16 seeds aren't going to be able to grab the players they probably should, but seeing these smaller teams win throughout the tournament, I think will draw more players to their schools. So good on McNeese, good on St. Mary's. Hope to see him back next year too. So, yep.
Yeah, and that's kind of, we'll get into, I don't want to jump too far ahead. We'll obviously talk about NIL, but that's really the new leveling of the playing field is you can recruit anybody you want. The question is, can you get your boosters to pay $1 million, $1.5 million? And we're seeing these new financial blue bloods kind of take control. Yeah. And BYU is one of them, and St. John's raising money like crazy too. So we're going to see some of these teams that were not basketball powerhouses build on success and and really, I mean, that's how Kansas got to be who they are. That's how Duke got to be who they are, right? Like they kept winning and kids wanted to go to school there. Right. That's all there is to this. So
yeah. And now on top of the winning piece, you also have the money piece, right? It's like in the past, yeah, sure, they were paying them under the table, of course, but like now you can back winning with incentives, like actual incentives to come play. It's a no-brainer. And before we move on to some of the fun stuff in the show today, like the last call out that I had is like, we called out very early in the season that you and I had blue blood bias and that we do our research. Like we do our research and we craft these shows and we craft our top 25. Kansas, Gonzaga, Connecticut, UNC, all out of our top 25. And I believe they started the year in the top 25. I believe Kansas, if I'm not mistaken, was like a number 1 overall seed in the AP, I think, coming into the season. And it's like, we got to be more, I mean, just like the media and these ridiculous ESPNs and CNNs and all these shows, they got to be more like statistical and data driven when they look at how they rank their teams. Cause it's like, that's the approach that you and I take. And it's very clear that like these blue bloods that we called out very early on were having bad years. And, the perennial powerhouses, Kansas and UNC, not in the end of season top 25. When have you ever seen that? Right. So
and deservedly, right? Yeah. I mean, it's not like we're shorting them just to short them. I mean,
no.
Kansas for me was the biggest surprise team I had outside my top 25. Yeah. And it's because they should be there, shouldn't they? Like they should be there. And you look at the product on the court this year, and I'm not surprised at all that they're not in the top 25 by every measurable, by every conversation that we've had. When I found myself sitting and looking at the top 25, I'm like, okay, where did the Jayhawks fall?
Right.
And they're not there. So I think the way that we've approached the game kind of levels the playing field across, I'll call it like blue bloods and everybody else, and then mid majors, because you shouldn't be ranked higher just because your pedigree.
Agreed.
If your team sucks because you've done a really poor job recruiting, because you're resting on your laurels while everybody else is getting better because you're Kansas, well, this year is what happens. And yes, there were injuries. Yes, there were extenuating circumstances. I'll never not give credence to that. That's real. It happened.
Yeah.
But if you're Kansas, your whole thing, the whole existence of your program and your blue blood status, the whole rock chalk bullshit is that your sixth man is supposed to be a starter everywhere else in the country save for 3 teams.
Right.
That's it. I mean, that's it, right? So I don't want to hear the injury argument more than one time, right? Sure, maybe you lose the first game after an injury, but then the guy sitting behind him is supposed to be an elite level recruit because you're Kansas. So if you can't rebound from something like that, and sure, they had multiple injuries, so give them 3 losses for injuries, right? While kids get acclimated.
Right.
Well, you play 30 games a year. They didn't go 27-3. So for me, it's like that was a huge surprise to not see him here because I was expecting him to creep back in. But they played like shit. I mean, they played awful for huge stretches of the year where you weren't really talking about Kansas. Like the narrative stopped even being like, is Kansas in trouble? It's like, oh no, Kansas is an afterthought.
Yeah, they're cooked. They're done. It's like I don't know. I was looking at your comments too about this, and before I get into one of my surprises, and it's like, how did they end up 6th in the Big 12? Like what? How was
should be able to sleepwalk the top 3?
That's what I mean, and so it's just like halfway down, or like almost halfway down in a conference that you've won, right? Like how many years in a row? Or I think Houston got it last year too. Maybe, I'm sorry. It's unacceptable. The thing is, it can't be coaching. This is why I'm lost. It's like you have arguably the best coach ever, right? I know that's an overstatement, but like Bill Self's a beast. He has multiple championships. He knows how to recruit. He knows how to get players bought in. But it just felt like across the board there was a lackadaisical effort by some of these blue bloods, which I know you'll get into a little bit later. But I really like the call out there. And for me, like I'm going directly to my early pick for national champion. Miss on my part, and I still don't get it. I still don't get it. Because, okay, Iowa State, they ended up 30th in our rankings. I think for the time, like for a while, they were a top 1, 2, 3, right? You look at their stats and nothing makes sense. They're top 50 in assists. They're top 30 in scoring. Their defense was a top 30, no matter which way you spin it. They were like 8th in steals. And you look at like some of the games they've lost, and it's like it's almost like the coach like forgot to get them bought in for the second half of the season. And it's not just this season. It's been every freaking season. They're talented as all heck. I would argue that they're probably one of the more talented groups in all of basketball. And it's evident by their stats. But something needs to happen with that coaching staff, because it can't be year over year over year where you continue to fail in the time where you're supposed to be picking up your effort. And I think to me, that is one of the biggest what ifs that I'll have in the last couple of seasons of watching basketball is, what if Iowa State didn't rest on their laurels, right? What if they ended up winning the Big 12, right? And then you're talking about potentially Iowa State is a 1 or a 2 seed, right? And potentially it's an all Big 12 national championship game, right? So it's like very frustrating for me to watch such a talented team kind of fall down the stretch. And they got to shake something up with that staff, because that was just unbelievably poor effort. So,
and what worries me about Iowa State is somehow Iowa is getting better at basketball.
Yeah, they are.
And if you end up as little brother in football and basketball, the recruits are gone. The recruits are gone.
Yeah.
If you lose, they'll never schedule it because they know better. But I mean, if you lose a home and home with Iowa, you're done as a football program.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, you called out it being a culture issue, and it's hard to argue with, because they're going to put some kids in the NBA. They got kids that can play anywhere else in the Big 12. So what is it? Is it discipline? Is it just outright X's and O's?
Yeah.
I mean, I tend to downgrade coaching as a factor, but it's impossible to argue with the fact that the same 3 guys have been on top of the sport for 25 years.
Right.
So obviously there is an X's and O's factor to it.
Right.
So it's like what can they do?
Right.
I mean, throw money, right? Throw money at the problem. That seems to work for everybody else, but at some point, it's not the kids.
Yeah, it's not. It's not. Talk to me next. What are your other one of your biggest surprises? I know we got a few. So
I wanted to call out Cincinnati really quickly here. We expected something from them. I don't think we were ever really high on them. They looked really good at times during the season. 12th place in the Big 12 is not okay. That's an unacceptable result. I don't know exactly what happened there, but when I'm sitting looking at our top 25 and they're not in there,
right.
I thought the basketball I had seen from them was good. I thought it was good basketball. I only caught maybe 3-4 games and obviously small sample size, but 3-4 games is enough sample size to get a perennial good-ish basketball school in the top 25.
Yep.
But they didn't finish the year well. They didn't do well in the middle of the year. So I spent a lot of time looking at the Big 12 and looking at Kansas, and Cincinnati kept popping up in my face. It's like, well, Cincinnati had a really bad year too. So
Awful.
it's kind of surprised by them sitting as far out as they were. But then I also wanted to give some of our other teams the flowers. VCU at 28. Obviously faltered in the tournament, but I mean that 20. If you were to tell VCU to be the top 28 team in the country at the beginning of the year, tied with Wisconsin in our rankings, they probably would have taken that.
You called it. You did call it. You called that one too.
Yeah,
mid-major to watch. So give yourself some credit there. What else you got?
Just circle back the back of the Big Ten that we kind of already touched on. Nebraska and Ohio State really impressed me at times this year. And if you had told me, looking at our rankings, that Nebraska and Kansas would be pretty much the same spot in the rankings, I would have said you were crazy.
Yeah.
We had Nebraska ahead of Kansas. So
yeah, and they deserved it. Nebraska played mean, dude. Like watching their brand of basketball, it's like, like those players love their ice baths after. Like their training staff must be intense. Watch it. If you didn't watch a Nebraska game, I want you guys to go back and watch a Nebraska game. Because go on like YouTube TV or like YouTube.com, the thing where we're streaming right now. Nebraska is a fun brand of basketball to watch. So I really like that you called them out there. Since he started at 12th 17th in our rankings and fell to 46. 46.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Rough.
So hey, skip your fantastic conference call out for a second and give me that standalone team.
Under the positive surprise?
Yeah.
SMU. SMU. This one was more of a I'm trying to find the best way to describe this. It was more of a more fun feel-good pick for me. They ended at 37. I don't know where they started for us because we didn't do the full 365, which I'm glad we're doing now. I'm pretty sure they led the nation in 100-point games. They played some really tough teams really close. They didn't get over the hump. They tried Clemson real close. A couple bad losses against, but the ACC in general towards the back half of the year looked really solid. Like they looked a little bit better than the way they started the year. And if you go watch an SMU game, the way how much firepower they had on that team and how much fun it looked like they had playing basketball was why I wanted to just shout them out real quick. I had them as one of my teams on notice, I believe, towards the end of the season, because I thought they might squeak into the tournament. But the way they play basketball and how dynamic they were on the offensive side of the court was really, really cool to watch. And I'm excited to see how they do next year. Like obviously Duke has a wild recruiting class coming in, but Clemson looked a little shaky, right? So is the next team up still Louisville? Wake Forest looks solid. Like, is it going to be Wake? I think SMU's got a shot. I think with the way they play is going to attract a lot of recruits because, on the defensive side of the ball, they're not like super great. But if kids want to go and score 30 a game, go to SMU. Like that's the way that I would look at it, right? So really like their style of ball and just wanted to say, go watch an SMU game. It's pretty fun.
So from a conference standpoint, I really like your next call out here because I'm having a lot of issues with who the power conferences are.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
why don't you go ahead and give some love to I guess they're technically a mid-major, but one hell of a basketball conference. Mountain West.
I was just thinking about it too, because I was like, I was looking at like how far all the blue bloods dropped, and I was like, what freaking teams are like taking their place? And then it was like Mountain West, Mountain West, Mountain West, Mountain West. I was like, and then you think about it, and it's like, dude, the Mountain West not only had a phenomenal showing this year, right? Colorado State, Utah State fizzled out. New Mexico looked good. Boise State looked like a powerhouse. San Diego State. So not only did they perform this year, but you think about like San Diego State was in the national championship like 3 years ago, right? And New Mexico's in the conversation every single year for Sweet 16, right? Utah State the past couple of years has been in the Sweet 16 conversation. So it's like this conference is improving very quickly. And, you know, you got the Big 12, you got the Big 10, you got the ACC, and you got, the SEC, of course, right? I would argue that teams 2 through 15 in the ACC could not beat teams 1 through 6 in the Mountain West.
100%.
Their style of ball, the way their coaches coach, and how much passion these teams play with is really, really cool to watch. And just to round out the conversation, Colorado State, Sweet 16 team, I believe, almost Elite Eight. They were at 35. New Mexico was at 40. Utah State at 41. Boise State at 44, and San Diego State at 50. And it was a down year for San Diego State. So, man, like you talk about the NIL money and you talk about kind of evening out the playing field. Watch out for the Mountain West next year, man. They're slowly getting better every season. And they continue to return teams to the tournament. So good on the Midwest this year, man. I really like watching them play.
I have issues with the ACC. I'll talk about them a little bit later. I didn't have any other big surprises, so I'm going to give you the floor to pull your soapbox up.
Okay, I'm going to be quick. Illinois, I didn't understand. 7th place in the Big Ten, behind a UCLA team who doesn't know how to play Big Ten basketball before the season, is crazy work. Number 1 in rebounding. They ended our season at 45. And if I'm not mistaken, they were in our top 25 to start. You can fact check me. They were 24. So they fell almost 2x, right? Connecticut, obviously biased. I hate Dan Hurley, but this is one of those things, right, where when we talk about being a product of your environment and not your mindset as a coach, he embodies that for me. Like he lost his team after back-to-back championships because the guys were so good they went to the NBA. And what, you don't know how to recruit, you don't know how to coach? Something's off there, right? Texas, you called them out early, right? They were 18th to start the season in our DVD top 25. I believe they got as high as 10 at some point or something like that. 14th place in the SEC out of 16 teams, by the way. It ended the season at 57, and I think 57 is generous. You mean to tell me that Texas finished behind Vanderbilt in the SEC?
Well, and remember, people were furious with Texas. Furious with Texas for getting in over West Virginia.
I think West Virginia was you're going to make me go on my soapbox. I'm not. Texas and UNC should not have made the tournament. I think everyone agrees on that. Disappointing season by Texas. They were definitely a shock. I wasn't as high on them, but I didn't think that they were going to be so bad, in my opinion. I didn't understand. And then shout out to you on this one. This was a miss for me. I had this team as a dark horse in our superlatives episode. I believe it was between St. John's and them. Rutgers. I'm not going to beat a dead horse. No pun intended, actually.
I mean, I will if you want to just pass it back. I'll take this right into our early call-outs.
Yeah, I will pass it back to you. Pathetic program. 71. Nuts. So
Rutgers is everything that is wrong with college basketball.
Yep.
They recruit kids who do not have the capability to play college basketball. Recruiting high school kids that should go straight to the NBA is no longer sustainable in college basketball when you can pay good players, key role players to show up and do their job. The NIL money will keep great college players in college.
There you go. There you
The
go.
reason Rutgers is going to have 2 picks inside the top 3 is because those kids are trash. They didn't play with any heart. They took games off, and Rutgers enabled them and allowed it to happen.
Yep.
And until someone in that athletic department stands up and says, hey, what if we try winning Big Ten games? They're going to continue to do so. So, hey, have the number 1 recruiting class in the country. Have fantastic kids who will go on to the NBA and enjoy not even making the Big Ten tournament most years. It is the worst thing that could happen is people saying, oh, we can just not build a team. We can bring in and try to get this NIL deal money flowing and get them to give us some cash from the boosters.
Right.
I don't see it. By the same coin, I think I might have been wrong on Flag. He's obviously an NBA guy. He's obviously going to be Rookie of the Year, because why would you pass up however much money Duke is going to give you to go to the NBA? That's a Rutgers move. That's a Rutgers move. I'm very concerned about Flag. I'm very concerned about Flag, and I'm going to loop him in with Ace Bailey.
Yeah.
Show me. Show me now, because you're not that guy.
Yeah.
I don't know. He looked great. Duke looked great. I can't take anything away from him.
I mean, yeah, but your rookie contract, like your rookie contract in the NBA doesn't make sense. Like you would stay at Duke. Why wouldn't you want like established pedigree as one of the best college basketball players of all time by living up to all of the hype that you had coming into this year, staying an extra year at Duke, making $10 million and walking off into the sunset with a national championship? Do that.
Well, and tell me what's more likely to happen. Duke with Cooper Flag wins the national championship, or Cooper Flag's the NBA Rookie of the Year. Which is more likely?
Probably Rookie of the Year, right?
Oh, you're going to go that way. I thought that was a no-brainer. I think it's way more likely that a Cooper Flag-led Duke team with a year of experience under their belt. I mean, they win that. I mean, even if he's everything they think they're going to be, right. Even if he's far and away the number 1 overall pick of the NBA draft, he's going to be on a shitty team. I don't see it. I mean, I've said it all year. I don't think the guy's any good at the NBA level. You can't argue with what he did in college. He's phenomenal all year long.
Yeah.
But I don't know why you wouldn't stay.
Yeah.
Unless there's a flaw somewhere in your game you think is going to be exposed to the college level. Won't matter once you're in the NBA.
Right, because there's no heart, there's no playing hard, right? Yeah,
it felt weird. It felt real weird. So he's obviously going to be number 1 overall.
Yeah. Followed by
Bailey,
right? Like
I'm really curious to see exactly how that plays out, because this NIL thing changes everything.
It does.
So it's not just about the money, right? So maybe he's pure of heart, and maybe he wants to be the best player at the best level of basketball in the world, and cool. I mean, go have fun in Utah. But like, why wouldn't you want to be a god at Duke?
Right.
Making legend
$10 million. Making $10 million. Because Duke will pay it 10. Duke will pay
and this thing, it's not like before. You know, if you sit down with the AD and you're like, hey, I'd love to come back, but like, you're going to have to give me a sneaker deal. Like, there'd be sneakers in that room in 25 minutes. Like,
not
it'd
even
be done. Like,
not even. Yeah, I know. What you mean.
it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, especially because in my view, the ACC is really, really bad. I'll eat all the crow in the world on Clemson. I was dead wrong. Duke was so much better than Clemson.
Yeah, I know.
And Duke was so much better than pretty much everyone in the tournament. So, like, if you tell me Cooper Flag comes back, Duke is my number 1. Well, and they're not ever not my number 1.
Yeah, and they got the 2 Boozer kids coming next year too. Like the recruiting class, Yeah, when you put it that way, it makes sense because you know he's going to go to like Washington or something like that, and he'll be covered like 3 games a year, right? And then he'll get the Rookie of the Year and be like, "Wow, like we didn't see a single game that he played in," right? So, yeah, and I really
just like Zach Edey,
right? Which I'm actually sad about because bro's balling, but NIL money keeps great college kids in college, and I think like that statement is nice. I think that statement is correct. It spreads out the competitiveness, right? But I just like there's got to be a different way to incentivize these kids to stay or play hard, and I think it has to come from the athletic department, to your point, right? So that's an inherent flaw with the school.
It's what we see in the end of career for NFL guys,
right?
Like it's not about the money anymore. Like Drew Brees will always be my example for this. Like he deferred money out, he turned money down. He's like, hey, put a championship around me because at the end of the year, like all that matters is rings. Like all that matters is wins. Like what can we build together? And
right.
So like with all the NIL money in college sports, that's kind of how I keep thinking about it now. It's like let's do something special.
Yeah.
Back-to-back championships for UConn is insane, right?
That's
and
nuts.
UConn, we don't have to like lean into UConn or anything, but like no one does that. It doesn't happen. We talk about those UCLA teams from the 60s. That's not even the same sport.
Right.
Like if you told me that Cooper Flagg came back for his sophomore and junior year, that's probably back-to-back championships at Duke. And that has a tangible value. It has an intrinsic value. Like there's something to that. And I don't think we're going to see it until these athletic departments can get a rein on how to use NIL and the college experience and like speak to these kids. It's like you can be the white kid that plays for Washington and everyone's got your jersey and that's cool. You're in the NBA, or you can be a god forever in all of college basketball.
And pretty much confirm that you will always have a coaching position at some college when your NBA career is over, right?
Yeah.
Like it's funny you see. Oh man, I really like how we're talking about this, right? Because it's like you see these coaches that were incredible college players, but not necessarily NBA players. Let's stick with Duke. Shire, he was a phenomenal player at Duke. Didn't do shit in the NBA. Came back, got the Duke job because he's a legend at Duke, and took him almost to a national championship in his first or second year. That's I think what you're trying to allude to, and I really like that thought process. So, but we have to be using the NIL money the right way, otherwise that'll never happen, right? Like I think that's the problem. So, that was a nice
contracts are coming. Contracts are coming. We won't get into college football here, but contracts are coming.
2 years, 15 million. Stay at Duke for 2 years, Cooper Flagg. And it's funny. I'm going to stick one of my early call outs is NIL's already evening out the playing field for 25 and 26. When would you ever see, I don't think this has ever happened, a player leave North Carolina and go to St. John's, dude? Like what the I've never seen that in my life. So we know St. John's. We were high on St. John's all year. I think we valued them just right. They stumbled in the tournament. But my early call out is Rick Pitino is using his NIL money the right way. He knows that his players in the tournament and even down the stretch in the Big East couldn't throw a pebble into the freaking ocean. Like, yeah, their defense was phenomenal. I think Arkansas only scored 60 points against them. They only scored 50. They can't score. Pitino said, I need to go get guys that shoot at a high percentage. They don't necessarily score 20 a game, that will buy into this program. And what did he do? He went and he got Ian Jackson from UNC, right? 12 points a game on like 45 from the field. Joe Sonsannon, you remember him, right? We saw him live. Great player for ASU, really the only one that was playing with heart, right? 12 points, 4 rebounds, 40% from 3, right? And you're like, okay, so there's 2 shooters and scorers. Surely that's enough, right? No. He went to Stanford, got Isaiah Sellers, 14 a game, 3 rebounds, 45 from the field, 40 from 3. He's using his NIL money, and he said, here's my problem. I want these kids to win a national championship. Here's how I go make it happen. And he's giving them whatever amount of millions of dollars that these kids require to come compete for a championship, because he knows he has one side of the ball fixed. He just needs the other. Early call out.
Well,
go ahead, please.
Yeah, well, every time you see a big rule change like this, you see people who are ready to adapt to it and people who aren't.
Yep.
And I think this is a fantastic call out by you for St. John's, because Pitino has more experience paying players than any other coach in college basketball.
He does.
He's been doing it for longer than anyone. He understands how to do this. It's just now he can do it publicly. Before he was doing it in McDonald's bags and shit. Oh, no, that was Tennessee football. But all jokes aside, like, Pitino has been paying players to play college football for 2 decades.
Yeah.
So now that it's legal, the moves he's making look brilliant, when really it's just like, oh, this is legal now? Cool. Just go get all the players that address all the shortcomings my team has ever had and be done with it.
Right.
It's insane.
You talk, and it's just like, that's why I love that we just talked about NIL to start our call outs for 26, because it's like we're talking about using it the right way. And now that he can do it legally, to your point, it's like, man, he didn't wait like 2 weeks after the season was over to just be like, I'm solving the freaking problem now. Because the minute my guys return in a month for off-season workouts, these kids are going to be bought in and ready. And so just watch out for St. John's. They're going to be ranked in any ranking that you look at next year in the top 25. AP, Ken Palm, ours, it doesn't matter. Like, they're returning a ton of dudes. They're bringing a ton of dudes in. Watch out for St. John's next year. They're coming up, and they're patching their holes, is what I would say. So take me through your next one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as we talk about teams who have a tendency to, I guess, illegitimately pay players, is what I'll say. Florida State in an ACC that I am super down on.
Yeah.
Wasted no time. They went and got everything that they needed to prop up what was a horrifically bad offense and defense.
Yeah.
They're just throwing money at it, because Garnet and Gold cannot be this bad.
No.
Especially with Miami being atrocious.
Awful, dude. Holy
This is the opportunity for them to step up and own the state in basketball. And I understand Florida's there. Florida's not an ACC team. Florida doesn't even factor in for these guys anymore. They're going to own the state in basketball, because Florida State was probably as bad as FAU. Like, Florida State was an atrocious basketball team this last year.
Yeah.
So huge transfer class.
Yep.
Miami doing almost nothing so far in the portal.
Yep.
If Florida State can put the right pieces in place, Duke will still be really, really good, but loses Cooper Flagg. Clemson was exposed. Clemson's beatable. Louisville played well all year, looked bad at the end of the year. If Florida State can put together a competent team, the ACC is there for the taking.
Yeah.
It'll probably still be Duke, but bring in all these good players, pay them correctly, win the state, not Florida. And deliver the results that your fans and, more importantly, your boosters expect. Yeah. So that's the early call out for me. Florida State will probably be inside my top 30 to start the year.
Yeah.
And it's on hubris and paper stats alone.
Yeah.
They need to get together, need to practice. I'll be very interested in the open practices. I'll be very interested in the scrimmages early.
Yeah.
I don't know what their MTE is, but that's going to be something I watch every single game of. If they're somewhere stupid like the Bahamas where they should not be, I am going to watch every second of their games. Because if you can knock off a tournament like Atlantis early in the season, sky's the limit for this Florida State team.
Yeah, agreed. I love the call out too. I was looking at some of their transfers, and they got some mid-tier to big names, but they're bringing in a lot. And I think it's funny you say, like, Miami's not doing squat yet. It's like, the transfers are gone. Like everything's gone. Like if you're not acting within freaking like a week of the season closing and the transfer portal or the transfer portal opening, like you missed out. So you better damn sure have a good freshman recruiting class, which looking at Miami's, it's not. SMU beat them by 30. I think Duke beat them by 20. Like, disappointing to see because I mean, just a couple of years ago, the team was in the top 10. Was. So it's just, yeah, I love your Florida State call out. And I do want to see where they're, I believe, just for the viewers, MTE means.
It's crap. Crap. My brain left me. It's an exempt tournament. It's an early season exempt tournament.
It's an invitational. It's the Maui Invitational. It's Battle for Atlantis, right? It's stuff like that. They clip off Battle for Atlantis or the Maui Invitational, right? They're gonna be a force all year. So really
multi-team event. Multi-team event. MTE. Yeah. It's an early season tournament.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know where Florida State is. They're not all determined yet, but a lot of them are.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Now I gotta look.
Yeah, I'm gonna wait for Rick to pull it up, but
I let myself down. They're not booked for one yet.
They will be. If they got that good of a class, they will be. Okay, this is the last time anyone will have to hear me talk about this.
That's a lie. This season. This is the last time we have to hear about it. This
season. Now, I want to be clear.
Where's your hat? That's not good enough.
This will do for now. If you look at experts, and I don't mean ESPN experts, I mean like true experts like us. And what they're talking about for early season favorites, Houston. People are very high on Houston. They're very high on Florida. Naturally, they're returning a lot of guys. Very high on Kentucky again next year. They're very high on Arizona next year. And a lot of people are very high on Purdue. And you look at who they're returning. Yeah, okay, they lost a couple of guys to the transfer portal, but they're retaining a lot of guys. Braden Smith is coming back for a senior year. Kaufman-Renn is back, right? And they arguably got, in my opinion, biased, I know, the biggest transfer on the market to date. We know we love our big guys. We've always loved our tall oafs who got mid-range jump shots and are good around the rim. And what did they do after losing Daniel Carlson, which, oh, by the way, he's coming back next year, so we'll have our 7-footer. We went and got Oscar Clough from the Jackrabbits, who you're like, oh, what the hell? Like, okay, the Jackrabbits, like one of the Dakotas, right? 17 a game, almost 13 rebounds, 64 from the field, and almost 79 from the free throw line. So you're returning everyone. You're active in the portal, right? You ended the season phenomenally, right? Like, I would argue that they looked the best out of any Big Ten team other than Michigan State to end the season, right? You're returning a ton of – I like their chances. I mean, obviously, they're reflected right in here. We had them on our top 25 pretty much most of the season, up to number 7 to end the year. I like the chances of the Boilers not necessarily getting over the hump next year, but with their strategy and who they've gotten thus far in the portal, give me a deep run by the Boilers next year. And watch out. I think they're going to be a real good team in the Big Ten. So my early season call is for my guys, the Boilers.
Probably odds-on favorite to win the Big Ten next year. We'll see how that opens up, but Michigan State, Michigan, Wisconsin just really didn't move the needle for me.
Yeah.
Maryland's a really interesting team, but I have not had a chance to look at who they're graduating and who they're bringing in.
Well, Queen's gone, right? So you think about the cornerstone of that team and how well they played. That all started with Queen. Queen's gone. I don't know if Tonji is staying at Wisconsin. Is he returning?
I doubt it.
Yeah, right. Like he averaged. I mean, that kid looked unbelievable, right? Michigan did get some really good transfers. They got like another 6'10" white dude from, I think, like LaSalle or something like that. So Big Ten will be competitive. But I wouldn't be shocked if we saw the Boilers in a top 10 spot in AP and Ken Palm to start the season next year. They looked good. They're returning a lot of guys. So just watch out for the Boilers next year for sure. And watch out for the Big Ten in general, right? Like, people are starting to really like Big Ten basketball, and I don't mean just us as fans. I mean players. Like, players like playing a physical brand of basketball, and we're seeing it in the transfer portal, right? Players are going to Big Ten schools. So Purdue and Big Ten in general, but specifically Purdue is my early season call out.
A similar team, maybe not in talent, but in scripting, Arkansas.
Yeah.
Arkansas in the SEC really impressed me at the end of the year. They are also returning a ton of talent. They're not Purdue, okay? Let me put that out there. They're not Purdue, okay, guys? But Arkansas, finishing the year inside our top 25, started the year inside our top 25. This is a team that has looked really good at times. We know the SEC is top-heavy, but the SEC also just put every team in. I mean, they could have filled out one corner of the bracket by themselves.
Right.
So this is a league that can perform, will perform, and then Arkansas has already seen one time. So if you tell me you can bring guys back with that experience with each other, and then augment it in the recruiting and augment it in the portal and say, hey, look, this is essentially a returning team. I love Arkansas inside the top 5 in the SEC for next year.
Yeah.
I want to say top 3, but there's some really good teams at the top of the SEC. So I'm excited for Arkansas. And the reason I want to call them out is I want our viewers to watch Arkansas basketball early in the year. Decide for yourselves where they're going to fall, because you'll be able to see it. Are they playing with the same energy and determination they did at the end of this year? Because if they can continue that and add experience to it, this is going to be a very good Arkansas team come February, March.
Yeah.
This is an Arkansas team who can make a deep run in the SEC championship, in the big championship. I don't think they're going to gather the firepower to take down Florida, Auburn, Alabama in a tournament setting, but take one from them at home? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Steal one on the road? Absolutely. Sweep Tennessee? Sure. Why not? So I'm excited to see them early in the season. I'm not sure how they're scheduled yet for non-conference. The big non-conference schedules start coming out in like July. But I'll be really excited to watch who Arkansas schedules and how they play against them, because this is a really good team.
And I love the Arkansas call out. I love the fact that they're returning a lot of players. We know that I hate Calipari. But like, he can coach. Like, he's a good freaking coach. And it's kind of been cool. I'm not going to lie. Like, it's kind of been cool to see his shift in mentality from like, let's make my school a factory for NBA players, which, to be clear, he's still going to have some NBA players, to, nah, shit, I'm trying to win. Like, I want to win, and I want these kids to grow. And you hear the way that he speaks in the media and the way that he kind of conducts himself as the coach for Arkansas. I still hate him, but I respect him more now for how he's kind of shifted. And you look at how Arkansas ended the season. Any way you spin it, it's a top 30 defense. Like, effective field goals, right? They were 6th in blocks. Like, the team can play basketball, and he had them peaking at the right time. And you're telling me all of these kids are coming back? Love the call out, Rick. And I would not be surprised, especially if they make portal moves, to see them in the top 10 to start the season.
I think that's all I've got as far as the 24-25 college basketball season. Justin, you have any final thoughts or anything else you wanted to touch on before we turn the calendar over?
Sad. I don't think I have anything. Just fun. This is fun. And go get a shirt. Like, I know we're not closing yet, but go get a shirt.
I mean, we're closing. That could be it. Go get a shirt.
Link
is in the bio. The new club602.com is up. There are as I break my camera with 3 seconds left in the video. Newclub602.com is up. We have shirts for just about everything.
Yeah.
If you want to see a shirt, we'll just cut one for you. We'll put it out there. So
Yeah.
no reason to have busted threads.
Yep.
Might as well have something fun to wear. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I did it. I did it.
Don't worry. And what he's trying to say is 2 things just to end the season. One, you already put it in the chat. Give us your end of the season top 5. How close is it to ours? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Should Auburn not be in there because they looked like crap the rest of the season? Probably, right? And 2, Rick said to me in a private chat that if we get 3 comments on this video, that he would make DBD golf apparel, which I know we have some big golfers watching. So if we get 3 comments, I can't comment 3 times myself. I've tried. DBD golf apparel. That's what he said. So, please.
I think more importantly, the college basketball season might be over, but Chainlink runs all year long. If you're not playing Chainlink, it is our free game where all you do is pick the winner of a sports game. That's it.
It's fun.
You could do that. You could do that. Pick your winner, you win or lose. Pick your next game. All there is to Chainlink. Super simple.
Yep.
If you can get in on that, you're pretty much doing what we're doing. Picking games in Chainlink is pretty much just like ranking teams.
Yeah, it is. You're going to see the DBD game of the week next year on there. He's got good baseball on there. You got the NBA playoffs. You got soccer. You got hockey play. Anything that you can dream of, with the exception of golf, which you and I have a conversation about, is on Chainlink to pick. So go try it. It's in the bio. He's making it easy on you. I mean, come on, guys.
So simple. It's so simple.
Jesus.
This has been the 2024-2025 season of Dead Ball Dancing. College basketball. This has been awesome.
This has been so much fun.
Really fun year. Justin, thank you for joining me all year long.
Yeah.
We will get together. We'll talk through some off-season stuff here.
Oh, yeah.
Viewers, you can hit us up. I am at King of Lakemore, Instagram, Blue Sky, Mammoth, just about anywhere.
What side is it on? Is it on the right side?
Yeah, if you have it mirrored, if you have it set to mirror, so like mine is here on my screen, but I think it's actually here.
No, it's on where you pointed originally.
Here, this one?
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, you can find him at King of Lakemore. I'm at Jabes, Jabes. I keep it simple for you guys. I think there's an underscore on a couple of them, but if you can't find me, then you don't deserve to. So
like, follow, subscribe, Club 602 everywhere. Be on the lookout. We have a couple irons in the fire for some really off-the-wall shows and one-off events that actually don't have anything to do with sports. So keep your eyes peeled for that. We appreciate each and every one of our viewers. Thank you so much for being with us this season. Watch the socials. We'll let you know when we will be back, but it's coming. It's coming. Basketball will be here before you know it.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for tuning in. Top 5 in the comments. We appreciate all the support.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for a great year. Justin, thank you.
Peace, y'all.
Peace, y'all.